May also, how wonderful if all sentient beings had happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. How wonderful if all sentient beings are free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. How wonderful if all sentient beings were never separated from the root of sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings have immeasurable joy. How wonderful if all sentient beings were free from hatred, strong attachment, and indifference. May all sentient beings abide without these biases in great equanimity, holding every living being with great affection. Okay, so let's hear a little. I'm going to try to do this. So I'm going to record because somebody asked for that. I'm going to try to share the screen. And let's hear from somebody who knows a lot about happiness. My great teacher, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And just start, he's like our warm-up now before we go into the Four Immeasurable, the joy meditation.
And we all have the same. So I always make stress where in order to achieve happy life, there is no point to neglect about our inner good quality, such as human affection, sense of concern, sense of care, and sense of community, and sense of responsibility as a part of the community. And then I feel that the sense of affection, that's, I think, a foundation for all other good qualities. So the affection, actually, biologically speaking, the affection is something, I think, the foundation to survive our life. So I often is telling people, for example, my own case, first teacher of compassion towards me is to me, my mother. As soon as I born, my mother take fullest care. And I survived through my mother's milk. I think this body, I think today, now 71-year-old, this actually, I think, Kasoda, built on the mother's care, mother's milk. And I still feel the impact deep in my mind from mother's affection, I think still remain there. So sometimes we forget that. And sometimes we take for granted, right? Take for granted. So I think that's a mistake. We should not neglect that. We should not forget that. We must make effort to sustain these values, inner values. Then your life will be more happier. Once your own sort of today attitude towards other more affectionate, more warm-heartedness and respect and friendly sort of attitude, then others' response also similar, usually. Sometimes not. So therefore, the friendly atmosphere must create by ourselves. I think it is illogical. Ourselves remain extreme self-centered, selfish, and don't care about other. Meantime, want friendly atmosphere. That's illogical. Wealth important, but friendship more important. You may be poor, but surrounding warm-hearted people feel very happy. Even on the bed of hospital, very pain, sick, but surrounded by loving people, and those doctors, nurses with more smile, you feel very happy, much happier. Some cases, you see doctors or nurses treat you as a machine without much smile, or then sometimes feel a little worry or anxiety. So the friendly atmosphere is very, very important. So during study, in school time, right, so school age, I think from the day of birth until the last day, death, I think human affection is the key thing for meaningful life, for happy life. So should not consider the compassion or affection is something religious subject or religious matter. Usually, many people get the impression compassion, forgiveness, love, loving kindness, these things considered as a religious subject. Therefore, those people who have no interest about religion, no faith, religion, then they also neglect about these things. I think that's a mistake.
Okay, so could everybody hear that okay? I couldn't really get the visual, but I think it's more important. His Holiness often says this when he's teaching like tens of thousands of people. Don't worry if you can't see me. It's more important you hear my message and hear my voice. So again, that holds true here. Now, that was kind of his common sense approach to, that we don't need religion to think about the value of happiness. We don't need to have a belief system to understand how important happiness is to our own quality of life. And last week we talked a lot about even the doctors these days show that having happiness is good to help our immune system. And here's His Holiness's quote that when I open up my screen, I see, if there's a way to free ourselves from suffering, we must use every moment to find it. So, of course, that's very true. And what we're doing by spending some time together is starting to find our way into happier and healthier states of mind, taking time every week, hopefully every day more often now that you're becoming aware to look at the states of mind. And if they're good and they're improving, wonderful. And if they're not, kind of catching them and transforming them. And so let me just see if I can play. This one's very short, but this is also another reason why we want to have our spirituality as part of our everyday life.
Actually, you see, practice of Dharma is like medicine. So medicine, whenever you get ill, then that is the right time to take medicine. So similarly, when we remain in our own house, is in no trouble, no problem, then it's a practice of Dharma. Okay, but something like without illness, the medicine, not much not much what's it? Not much use, yes. So in our real daily life, where you see some painful experience, some you say about to lose our anger, about to lose this, jealousy, about to lose too much pride, or about to sort of commit exploitation, or telling lie, or bully. Also, you see, about to act, pretension, pretension, and then These are the right time to think about spirituality. Oh, I should not lose my anger. I should not harm other. I should not tell a lie. I should be honest. I should be truthful. So that's the real practice. So I think the spirituality, life as a spiritual life, actually must go along with our daily life.
Okay, so, this is the main thing that we want to use our practice to be practical. So it's good when we sit. I hope everyone's meditating a few times a day. It's good when we find time to take out of our schedule to come together here on the main moment. But the real practice is day by day by day, moment by moment by moment. And as we know, our mood and our mind is changing, our habits we become more aware of, are they beneficial habits? Are they habits we want to commit more time and energy to? Are there some habits we want to change and get rid of? That's what our practice will do when we start to integrate our spiritual practice as really who we are. So often people ask me, oh, Anila, why do you always go over to India? We really need you in the West. And I said, well, it's because in India, when you're training, you're living in a society where most people are aware of this. They see life much more as a spiritual act. And then whatever you're doing is just like you're learning from that situation. They don't see it as like the spiritual, something private and hidden and kind of mysterious inside of you. And what you're doing is slogging it out through the work week or through holidays or through Super Bowls or something like this. It's a very strange kind of way in the West where things have kind of turned out that spirituality is somehow this like inner thing where in fact it's really who we are. And I think people know that at a very deep level, but they've forgotten it. And the joy is once you start to live that in your moment by moment by moment, things start to blossom. They start to open up. And, Thich Nhat Hanh's a very famous Buddhist from Vietnam who was practicing in the midst of the Vietnam War, practicing nonviolence and peace. And one of his last books that he wrote was called No Mud, No Lotus. And no mud means, the lotus grows from deep down in the swampy muck. It starts its seed buried under the deep water in very mucky, dark mud. And somehow, through the magical mysteries of life, causes and conditions make that seed open and it sends out a shoot up through that dark water. And eventually, a little pod will come up above the water. And eventually, with the sunlight and the right conditions, a beautiful flower will blossom. And the lotus is very unique as a flower because it's not like a lily pond flower that sits on the water. The lotus is up above the water. It's almost like she's like, well, I started from down there, but I'm not going to touch any of that anymore. She's rising above it. That's beautiful. That's our real essence. We all start in the muck of confusion, of ignorance, the mud of whatever the society or the family life we're born into. And honestly, we can all say in the West, it's pretty messy. It's pretty messy many places now. Some places are a little bit more, like where I go in India to Ladakh. I won't say perfect, it's not like that, but some families, if they have a very strong practice of a tradition like Buddhism or a very genuine practice in India of Hinduism or Muslim Islam, they're very devout and very mutually respectful to each other. And the whole family and the children are acting that way because they're not allowed to drink alcohol, they're not allowed to swear, they're not allowed to watch certain things. So naturally, it kind of makes the children go in a certain direction. The children really respect the parents. They would never talk back to their elders. They would never, at all be allowed to be looking at content at a young age that would not be beneficial for their young minds. So definitely what we call in Buddhism causes and conditions are important. And we want to, as we grow our practice, bring about the most positive causes for the happiest conditions to manifest. So even though, like that lotus, we start in the mud of samsara, of the confused world that's kind of born out of ignorance, greed, hatred, anger, pride, jealousy, all the things that we can see going on around us. It's not really who any of us are. It's not even who any beings who don't practice spirituality are. They just don't know that. But it's helpful if we remind ourselves of that. They are human beings just like us. They have the same qualities inside. They have a consciousness. Most human beings have two eyes, nose, mouth, two ears, 10 fingers, 10 toes, only a few different bits and parts that are different. But overall, 90% we're the same. Anatomically, inside, we have the heart, the lungs, the organs. But 100% we're absolutely the same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So now you say, well, Tenzin Dasel, why do we suffer? Well, because we all have a different idea of what it means to go about getting happiness. And most of the time, we're really focused on just, I want happiness. We forget I want happiness the same as everybody wants happiness. And we maybe don't check up, is the way I'm going about looking for happiness going to bring any harm to other beings? Because if it's going to harm others, then that automatically means my happiness is creating harm for someone else, meaning their happiness is not being held in that equanimity that we talked about. So without strong desire and without strong aversion and hatred, without ignoring all others, we just try to think like, is my body, speech, and mind under my own control? So I'm not doing anything that's going to bring harm to others. I'm not saying anything that's going to be harmful to others. And my mind is clean and clear and pure. I'm not thinking anything that secretly wishes harm to others. Really, this is very important. Sounds very simple. And in a way it is, because instead of worrying about the big world out there, if we turn the lens inside, as we've talked many times, we can only change this one, it becomes actually a much simpler micro project because it's just our own, this one that we have to take care of. Don't have to worry about what others are doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying. We just think about our own, take responsibility for this one. And we have to be honest, we're going to miss the mark sometimes. Oh, I could have been more skillful. Oh, I need a few minutes to cool down after a tense conversation. We could say a rub, sometimes with our closest friends or our partner, or our family, we might feel that strongest tension. And it's like a rub, like sandpaper. But remember, sandpaper rubs to help things get smoother. So don't run away from it. Don't be afraid of the rub. Just acknowledge it when there's a tension and a rub. Oh, I've got to pay attention now. I'm about to get really smoothed up because I found my rough edge. We all have them. Absolutely. Nuns and monks too. We're human beings. But if we're wise and we're compassionate, and as soon as that rub starts up, we think, okay, there's that familiar feeling again, because sometimes it might be a new one, but generally we're already old enough to be familiar with our habits that bring up these difficult states of mind. Then we just think, oh, that's a state of mind. I'm aware of it now. What is it here to teach me? In my case, most of my rubs are patience because I'm a big, okay, let's not deal with that. Let's fly away kind of person. Not really a fight, but definitely flight. Uh, if I get kind of in a moment, I might lose awareness of my speech, how my speech is impacting others. So I notice, oh, this will be a time not too much talking. So I can keep the clarity and I can listen. And that's already starting to attend to the other person's happiness or the environment that we're sharing because it's called keeping the peace for a reason or holding your peace for a reason. If you can, even if your mind's a little bit disturbed or maybe even a lot a bit disturbed about something that happened or something, usually something someone said is what really upsets us, right? Often people aren't like walking up to us and punching us or, I don't know, harming us physically. I hope not anyway. But often a lot of us get very triggered or reactive to what we hear from somebody's speech. Is it true or not? Is it true? You think about it. Yeah. So think about what speech is, though. Like, where is speech landing? Speech is only vibration, so by itself, it really can't harm us. It's just sounds. It's just sounds traveling on wavelengths. And that sound might come in the form of like some music that we love. So we say, oh, those vibratory sounds I love. I want to move my body to them. I can't hear enough of it. I can't get enough. But then why is it that a sound with the same kind of traveling on vibration could make us feel so badly? Why? Because generally the sound that makes us feel badly has something to do with me. It's an idea that there's an I, an ego, that this is absolutely offensive to, and it's going to disagree with the way I think things should be, or I don't like the sound someone's saying. Maybe they're criticizing. Maybe it's painful, the sound. Maybe someone, I know I don't like to hear swear words at all, so that's to my ears painful. Of course, they're just sounds. It's my habit that I don't like to hear those sounds. Maybe somebody's being mean to somebody else, and I don't like to hear those sounds of cruelty. So, what's disturbing usually is when we disagree with the sounds that we're hearing, we're making a lot of meaning and we're taking it personally. And that's okay. I mean, it's definitely absolutely okay to notice that some ways of communication are not positive ways, but what's not okay is if we lose our own peace of mind, right? If we lose that sense of awareness and all of a sudden it becomes personal, that's when our mind and our emotions start to get churned. If we just hear what's being said without letting it land and taking it personally to heart, we might actually hear that some message we need to either learn from because we know it's true and we don't want to hear it. That's very brave. Or we don't need to learn from it because it's not true, but we need to learn not to react in the same patterns. Fight, flight, upset, withdraw, judge, criticize. Anyway, whatever happens, it just doesn't feel good. It's like blah, 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 not nice. Garbly-gook. It's sticky, not clean clear. But having the awareness, now we can work with that. So the awareness is so important, and we all have that. We all have awareness. And once we can start to, when we feel those habits come and we can start to work and say, oh, I want to work with that. And when something's pushing my button or triggering me or the that's coming, we can laugh a little bit internally. Don't laugh out loud all the time. Or you can, if it's like with your partner, you can go, oh yeah, here we are again. Okay, what's happening? Let's get this under control, like just be honest about it and don't ratchet it up and make it so intense and so serious. And how could you say that to me? And but that's when it all just goes downhill so fast. So with wisdom's that awareness of watching. Also the awareness knowing of sound's true nature cannot harm us. The content of sound cannot harm us. It's our reaction that harms us. Even the other person doesn't mean to. It's our habit where we lose our peace of mind. You can see it really clearly. I know you're all wonderfully intelligent, beautiful, awakening beings. So you see that habit, and then you try to understand from your side. Now I'm glad I can see it. I'm going to work with it. I'm going to transform it. This is all Buddhism really is teaching us. It's just awareness, analyze, compassion, so you can get aware of it and you don't have to say anything or do anything. Just drop a big compassion bomb into your heart right away. Like we think of like our teacher on the crown of our head, just streaming pure white light all through our being. Just Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. You can do Om Mani Padme Hum. Just beautiful white light, just flooding us with compassion. I love it. Yes, I love it. I feel it right away. And then I feel, wow, everybody wants this one. This is like the best kept secret. It's free. Your own mind is in the nature of wisdom and compassion. As soon as you train in it, it can't help but work and make you feel better, stronger, cleaner, clearer, more humble. And humble and vulnerable means more powerful, much more powerful, because you don't have fear. You're not having to hide. You're not alone because you've called in your blessed divine ones who've done this themselves. That's why they're so clean, clear, like His Holiness. He's already done this to become the Buddha of compassion. You meet other beings that give you that confidence. Then from your own experience, you feel it as a very embodied expression of that presence in your own heart mind, because it really is who we are. The mind of compassion is everywhere. Mother Nature is very compassionate to all of her creatures. That's why in Buddhism, Aryatara, the mother of all Buddhas, she's swift and courageous because she wants to act to help us enjoy this kind of compassion. She's always at the ready to bring it. She's like the female version of the Avalokiteshvara of Chenrezi, the Buddha of compassion. They're just ready. And it's our own mind qualities that are these essences. Again, it doesn't mean you have to become a Buddhist to benefit, but you practice and you start checking up. Hey, do I feel like this is helping? Wonderful. Keep using it. Keep practicing. So now I have a question for everybody who would like to answer it. What makes you personally happy? And then what makes you happy with others? You can just unmute and you can answer that. What makes you personally happy? And what makes you happy with others?
I'll start.
Thank you, Katie the Pisces.
um, what makes me happy when I'm by myself? I've noticed this year really trying to silence the noise and chatter as much as I can. And I've realized that time slows down when I remove some of those distractions that I feel like weren't benefiting me. I've been really trying to reduce my screen time on my phone, especially on social media, and realizing how much energy that frees up to really do things that benefit me. So I'm really feeling happy by myself when my mind is quiet. And then when I'm with other people, I really just enjoy hearing their other perspectives and seeing how they think about things and leaving space to really hear their perceptions rather than forming my own right away. Um, yeah, that's what makes me happy.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Kay. Somebody else like to share? Yes, please. Yes, Abila.
Hello from Abby and the crowd.
Hello, Abby and the crowd, the gang, the friends, cool in the gang.
I feel like it's not very different for me what makes me happy myself and then what makes me happy with others. It feels very much the same. I like being together, cooking and eating nice food, dancing, feeling present, being in nature.
Beautiful. So those things hold true whether you're on your own or whether you're with good company.
very much.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Abby. Any other friends there want to chime in? Okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
Hi.
Hi, Katie.
I think for me, I enjoy like I really like helping others, so I think that gives me I don't know, that makes me happy. I also, just trying to, like Katie said, just trying to stay calm and be in a quiet state because it doesn't happen a lot. So I really do enjoy that. I mean, a lot because sometimes, and it's nice to see you, Katie.
Oh,
I saw
it's
you
so
in October.
cute. Noticed you last week and sending love.
Yay. But but yeah, I do the same thing. I have an hour on my social media, and even that's too much, I think. I just kind of want to get rid of it. Um, but like when I'm around people, I think it's that banter, that connection, that like laughing and like just getting to know people. And I love that, just that connection. Sometimes it makes you feel less alone when you have others around you. So, but yeah, that's me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to add in before we go into our meditation? Okay, well, thank you for adding to, thinking about our own happiness and thinking about how often it really is some way to connect also with others that brings us joy, whether it's on our own to become more present and more aware and make more space, to then go as Katie the Pisces said, to go and be with others and hold more space, maybe to listen, to be more of an active listener. Or as Abby said, like just to enjoy those things that she knows she enjoys, whether she's alone or with others, that can just be amplified and multiplied, but that she doesn't necessarily maybe need others to do that. She can find her way to that and then share it with others, and then it becomes even more joyful. So the most important thing, though, is to recognize that happiness is our right. Happiness is even embedded in our Constitution, for the right life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Now think about like why that would have even been written into the governance of our Constitution of a democracy. That's quite powerful. And it's because it's such an inherently important human wish around the planet. And honestly, most of the big challenges facing us these days are human made. So the good news is they can be solved by humanity. When we start to think about how much we share of wanting happiness and not wanting the suffering. But if we give too much, as Katie H said, too much attention to social media or too much attention to things that don't bring us peace of mind, well, we would be a little silly to think that we're going to find happiness there, because a lot of people on the social media are very scared, and there's a lot of like motivation for the news media to talk about things that keep and gravitate people's attention, which happens to be fear-based. So we're very strong and very aware and bold if we can unplug from that and redirect ourselves into a true destination, into a true focus on what really will open up like a key our inner happiness. So let's take a few moments now just to do a meditation on metta, on
You
loving
have,
kindness. So just be comfortable. Oh, a question, Abby?
what makes you happy, Tenzin?
What makes me happy? Um, Personally, what makes me happy is just being alive, especially every day as I get older, I become much more aware that this is a very finite experience in this one lifetime. So I wake up and I lately very much have been thinking, oh, I'm so happy that I'm alive. I'm very grateful to be alive. And then sometimes if I think about my life and the choices I've made, I think I'm definitely not perfect, and I'm happy that I know that, but I'm very happy with the journey that I've set my life course on in many different ways, and that I've had this opportunity already of 58 years to be alive. You know, I mean, honestly, when I was young, your ages, some of my friends there went to Bates. Really, even in high school, as I mentioned, some question we had to answer when I was 17, what's the probability that you'll still be alive at 21? Because it had been then widely publicized how many nuclear weapons were in the country, and people before 1984 didn't really know how many. And I was like, well, who knows? You know, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say, knowing that those things are there. And it was pretty traumatizing at that point. Um, but then I just decided, well, they're there, and what can we do about it? But we have to accept that for some reason this strange idea came to this humanity that this would be that this would be a cause of safety. I mean, go figure that, but don't spend too much time on it. So they developed these horrible weapons to try to scare each other into not obliterating the whole planet. So it's very strange. It seems to my mind, as many things do, completely anathema to the true nature of the reality. But it also helped me understand that I could trust my thinking. You know, that I felt like especially my young teacher, when I was young, my earliest teachers, my mother's mother, my mother and father, some nuns I had met from Italy, some of my teachers in school were such amazing teachers, you know, and such amazing influences on me. Both of my parents were teachers, so I was exposed to like the life story of Gandhi ji, and um, the war movement of the 70s was all happening in the Western Massachusetts, the feminist movement. So I just started to think, well, there are things we can do, like while we're alive, like let's just try to do them. Let's do the best we can, because we don't have forever. And then somehow, you know, later in my life, when I was 36, like meeting my teacher, meeting Khenzo Rinpoche, at a moment where I didn't really know I was looking for a teacher, but thinking like, wow, amazing. There are beings of light here, and they really do know a lot more than most beings I've met, and they definitely know more than I do. So that makes me very happy that I really do trust that there's highest wisdom that we can still follow and unfold. And that every day that we have life, we can choose that. We can choose to take our difficulties and say, well, this must be because I'm able to meet this difficulty, why it's coming to me, right? That's how we think, definitely as a Buddhist monastic. We don't expect things to be easy, but we think, well, if it's difficult, then it must be because I'm up for it. Then we don't feel afraid of the challenges. We don't feel intimidated by them. We don't feel immobilized by them, frozen. We feel confident. And I think that that confidence is something we really need to call up from our depths of our essence right now, with joy and with happiness, to continue to remind oneself and each other that this is the truth. As I said, not a Buddhist truth, but the truth of our real essence, the indomitable human spirit. When I was young, I worked with people with HIV and AIDS, and my mother, she's always would surprise me. Now she's off on her cosmic journey somewhere else, but probably not too far away. Gave me a T-shirt when I was working with people with HIV and AIDS, and she was quite afraid at that time, back in the late 80s and early 90s, at the beginning of the epidemic. You know, people didn't know much about the disease, and she said, you know, I'm not going to worry about you because my mother is very faithful of God, you're in God's hands. So I said, no, you don't have to worry about me. I'll be fine. Gave me this great T-shirt that said, here's to the indomitable human spirit. And that phrase really has stuck with me. I believe we have this transcendent, never dying, never breaking spirit that we can access. In Buddhism, we call it bodhicitta. It's the mind of enlightenment, the mind of great affection for all living beings, that we must come to know intimately as our own true nature before we can really extend that to others. But I find that we can know it when we look inward. We can plug into that. And then once we're plugged in, who knows what we can do? So let's practice this metta meditation again, the universal loving kindness. We'll do a guided meditation. And again, just be comfortable. If you wear glasses, you can take them off. And for this one, we can sit up straight. We want to be relaxed but alert. So again, not too much leaning back and chilling out, but now coming into a good posture. Oh, good. I see Abby and the gang getting ready. That's very good. And we want to remember that this relaxed and alert state of mind will create more avenues for peace of mind, for happiness, for kindness, for compassion, because it's pointing us to our inner awareness of staying relaxed and alert. And we're using our meditation to definitely invite in all the love of the universe directly into our hearts. So take a few beginning breaths, letting go breaths, doing the calm abiding, shamatha meditation, breathing in, eyes 3/4 closed, 2/3 closed. Just try to find the point with your gaze off the tip of your nose very softly so you don't see your nose, but you're letting your eyes just kind of park into space. And the tip of the tongue's resting on the roof of the mouth behind the teeth. The chin's down a bit towards the breastbone. Shoulders are soft. Relax the belly. And just take a few relaxing breaths in and out, gently expanding. So now call to mind your guiding light, whatever that is, if it's Buddha or your Aryatara, the mother of the Buddhas, or if you don't really have an image or a figure, you can just imagine a bright ball of white light sitting above the crown of your head, maybe about 6 inches up, just very glowing. And imagine that ball of white light represents all the loving power, all the awakening mind of awareness throughout all the universes, not just our cosmos, but as far as is in existence, all the awakened energy of wisdom, compassion, loving kindness, with clear awareness. And on the next in-breath, you just greet and invite that essence to grow on each in-breath, becoming even larger and more expansive. And you're inviting to merge with your heart mind, bringing it right into your full awareness of your physical form first. Cleansing anything that's stuck, letting go of any old habits that are blocking. If you have a particular habit that you're working on, that you're trying to let go of, you can ask for support to help dissolve that obstacle. And on the out breath, you can feel it release. You can think of any habit you might have that is like a bad roommate living inside your mind stream that criticizes you all the time, that insults you, that tells you you're not good enough. Can invite that awareness to come forward and invite this beautiful universal loving light to bring in all the wonderful universal love into one's own heart and mind. And by doing that, to just release, to flood that habit and release it. You acknowledge it and then you release it into that awareness of that presence. And on the next in-breath, you think also very strongly, may I be at peace. And breathe in and become one with this ball of light. And just imagine that you lose a sense of your physical human form and you start to just morph into an amazing form of energy in the sense of a ball of white light. And take the next few breaths in, may I be at peace. And then just settling on the out breath, being at peace. And now the next in-breath, may I be love. And may I embody the power of universal love. And you're still in the form merged with this expansive ball of white light, just very full of the universal power of love, your true essence, true awareness. Next in-breath, may I be compassion. Next in-breath, may all be at peace. May all be love. May all be compassion. So let's close this meditation now by merging with this white light and coming out of it back into our own sense of our appearance and presence, but now empowered, actually imbibing this beautiful energy, feeling that it's coursing through our heart and mind with a deeper awareness of its truth and the proximity of being one with us, not separate, not something distant or unknown, but something that we embody. Okay, so we'll come out of this meditation and yep, do some stretching. I see some good stretching going on there. Thank you for the invitation. That's good. Relaxing. So any comments or questions? We're about 5 minutes over, but I hope that's okay for you. We're going on that great journey and I sometimes lose a little bit track of time. Hope that was wonderful for you. I was feeling some big energy and really encourage you to practice that every day. You know, this metta meditation, the universal loving kindness to oneself. Very healing, very powerful, potent. We need it more and more. And doesn't take too long, 13-minute meditation. And we are recording this, so we'll post it to the Tashi Getseling. We have a YouTube channel. I'll try to ask next week when we send out the reminder for the main moment, we'll try to put the link for the Tashi Getseling YouTube channel. I think there's some other talks there that people have put up. So someone asked because they're traveling if we could record this. So we'll start to share it. So our community has some resources there. I also will post some of the Samaneri Jayasara, who does lovely guided meditation. I've sent some out to some of you. She's Australian, and I find her voice to be very soothing, and her reading with this kind of music that goes in the background to be a very potent way to use guided meditation as well. But try to keep this universal loving kindness very simple. Be at peace, be love, be compassion. And then send it out. Everyone, everywhere. Be peace, be love, be compassion. Play with it. Have a great week with it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you want to unmute and say hello to everybody, feel free to now.
Thank you, Jason. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Vincent.
Hey, everybody. Have a beautiful week. Oh, I wanted to remind you on Wednesday, actually, the power I think sometimes I feel is the full moon. The full moon is Wednesday, and we have a medicine Buddha, that's this one here, who's very important for this time that we're living through, which is called the degenerate age. Means it's a time where there's a lot of change and something new is struggling to come out. So it's kind of it's being resisted by this older thinking. But the medicine Buddha said that he and the seven brothers gone to bliss, who I just love, who doesn't want to hang out with the seven brothers gone to bliss, pledged themselves to be very available during these very difficult times of like war, famine, uncertainty. And so Wednesday evening from 7 till about 8:15 or 8:30, we'll be reciting the medicine Buddha puja, which means the ritual. And we've got a link to that on our website. That's a little booklet that you can either download or print out, or you can call up and practice with us during that time. Um, and it's a really beautiful practice. It's a practice that Tashi Getsling's been doing for over a decade now, probably about 15 years. And it really, if you know you need healing, or you need someone in particular who needs healing, or we know that definitely this world needs healing, we do it together to offer this kind of total intentional positive energy out. And people have gotten very good healing from it. People have had very miraculous healing from the practice. So come back on Wednesday this week if you have time.
Could you say what that is again?
The
Medicine medicine Buddha?
medicine Buddha and
Okay.
the seven brothers gone to bliss.
Okay.
And the medicine Buddha is also called Menla in Tibetan. And this is the medicine Buddha. So it looks a little bit like Shakyamuni Buddha, but the difference is in this hand is holding a medicinal herb.
Mm.
This is a very rare herb. It's a real herb that grows high, high up in the Himalayas, up in Tibet. And in this is holding the elixir of this beautiful, like Amrit, nectars that cleanse us, and that when we do the ritual, we can feel purified, So part of what we're doing when we practice is we're getting rid of old habits. And in order to clear out old habits, in our practice of Vajrayana Buddhism, we do a purification so that those old mind habits actually get weakened when we do these mantras. That's what the mantras do. They're like a code that when the code is like expressed, it weakens the old delusions of ignorance, selfishness, fear, envy, jealousy, pride. All those things get weakened. And then this flood of new awareness comes in that's really clean, clear, and free of those.
Nice.
But we are not our habits, we're much more than that.
Thank
So you have time and wish, and if you're doing something else with somebody else, we'll connect with your positive intentions. But if you have any joy or wish to come with us on Wednesday, come back on Wednesday.
What time again?
7 to probably that night we have to go a little past 8. It usually takes till maybe 8:15, something like that.
Okay.
That's when my other Sangha meets, but
Okay, well,
we'll see.
okay.
I'll
And
bring up the
for
number.
people who might join, then you'll find the Medicine Buddha booklet on the Tashi Getseling website under the resources. And yeah, and if you can't make it, Eileen, you can have a look at the booklet, and
I will.
you can get a more sense of the practice from it that way.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to dedicate the merits of our practice. Jangchup Semcho Krimpoche Maske Panamske Gyorchi Kepar Nyampar Mepar Nyang Gone Gondu Pelwar Sho. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezi remain in life till samsara's end. The first prayer is Bodhi mind, this mind of great awakening, precious and sublime. May it arise where it has not yet arisen, and where it has arisen, may it flourish and grow forevermore.
Beautiful.
It is, and so are you. Okay. Till next time, my dears. Stay
Bye-bye.
happy, happier and happier.
Night.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tenzin.
Our pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Your mom kissed you.
This is my mom,
Oh, where? Where's your mom?
the Amy Endy.
Oh, Amy, wonderful. So nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
You did an amazing, wonderful gift to the world in that one. Really. She's a joy, precious one. Really, thank you, and so nice to meet you.
Yeah, same. Thank you for letting me join tonight.
Oh, anytime. Please come again. We really enjoy. Then they're multiplying there over in Minnesota. I love it, you know, because young people, this is why we do what we do. It's just wonderful to see that they find more and more. So,
Yeah.
because you're going to ripple it out, you know, you're going to spread it out. You're the seeds of the future. You're our beautiful garden, our seeds of the future.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are you, Amy? Where are you coming in from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. We were just, I was with my Dharma sister, a friend of ours brought us down to Emerald Isle. We loved it down there.
State in the mountains.
Okay. Well, we were on the coast, but we enjoyed the warm weather back at the end of early November. No, end of November, early December, we were down there.
Nice.
So we like warm weather.
Yes. We like any weather up here in New England. We get it all, so we're flexible.
All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Have a great week.
Love to everyone.
Yes, back at you.